All right. Welcome to the Express Technical Committee meeting of November 16th. Here we have myself, Douglas, Rand, and Yapa. We don't actually have any particular agenda items to get started with for today's meeting. There hasn't really been too much pressing things that had, for the actual committee meeting between now and the last one. So I don't know if anybody wants to propose any topics.
Yeah, I actually have one small thing, just it's really documentation specific, unsurprisingly. But in addition to that one PR that I opened yesterday, I do have some other things I would like to do. So I don't know if we want to just dive into it, or if you wanted to talk about something else first.
Sure, go ahead.
So yeah, as I've recently been, I moved the loopback documentation all into GitHub and using a Jekyll site. So I've actually learned quite a bit more about Jekyll, and so now that I'm kind of like circling back to Express, there's a few sort of, I guess you'd call it cleanup things, or just to make things a little more efficient that I'd like to do. Like I notice in our current setup, the pages, like they're all every single page has is enclosed in a div tag, and that could be pulled out into the layout, and just little things like that would just sort of reduce the total sort of amount of duplicate code, as it were. It's kind of, in the sense of software, it's kind of like moving, if you have the same code in a bunch of objects that all descend from a common ancestor, you can just move that code into the ancestor, and it's just more efficient. That's kind of the analogy. Stuff like that. And then the other thing is the implementation of the getting the readmes from the various middleware modules. I think we've got a little bit cleaner implementation in loopback.io, and I'd like to sort of crib from that and just clean up our implementation. And it's, I think as far as the end user experience, it's not going to have any impact in terms of the way the content looks. It's just going to make the code that generates the site a little cleaner.
Right.
So I just want to put that out there and say, does that sound okay to you guys, or
Yeah, I think we should definitely do what's good. It would be good if you do these two things as separate PRs, so that we can see how they affect.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, the one about the layout, I mean, it could potentially end up touching a lot of files, because of it's going to impact all the translated files and things like that. But the actual diffs to each file will be just literally removing like a div tag, so it won't be major change, but it could end up touching a bunch of files. So okay, I'll open separate PRs, and hopefully I'll have time to get around to that. But it's nothing urgent. It's just more of kind of, let's just have a little bit cleaner implementation. And the only thing that I'm just from my perspective, I'd like to have the site in good shape when we go to Node Interactive, because since I'm doing my little presentation, maybe people will look at the site, be looking at the code maybe potentially. So
yes.
Cool. Yeah, I think that cleaning up the code and making it a lot more more concise, and especially if there's it helps with managing the docs and where they are is awesome.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I've got one suggestion regarding the website. I think it's a good idea to let the community know that you guys are going to that Node Interactive, and they could probably meet you guys. They would definitely want to
Sure.
meet both of you.
Right. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Like, because I had kind of thought about that, but of course, like you never know what exactly we want, because like at this, we want it to, ideally the site, is about Express and all that kind of stuff. Obviously, going there and all that, is cool. I certainly don't want it to be like, it would be ideal if it didn't like have to come off on like basically like saying like, it's sounding like just using it for like self-promotion, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So
I don't really care about that stuff. So, but I know that people do want to like talk to us and like whatever. So I know that they're certainly interested. So it could certainly be like maybe that's what we could replace that little like bullhorn thing with, or something like, hey, like you can almost think of it saying like, hey, there are these. It could even be said more like, there's an upcoming conference, Node.js Interactive North America, whatever. We'll have, 2 of the TC members will be there or something. Like, and like we could say, which ones, but I mean, that would be kind of like what I would think would be a way that would kind of like sound like it's basically like the Express website, more like saying like it's an Express thing. And then of course they could probably click on it or something and just get some more information, and it's like, maybe like say what our sessions are or whatever, and probably put like our, we could even put like our Twitter handle or something, or whatever people do to do meetups, or I don't know what.
Yeah. All right, Doug, are you doing a session?
So I don't know exactly what it is. I'm pretty sure it's by the time they scheduled it, I'm pretty sure it's part of like one of the keynotes. So like it was part of the closing keynote in Amsterdam, and this one, the time is early in the morning on the first day. So I assume right now it's the opening keynote. So, but yeah, it's only what they would call a lightning talk. So it's just 20 minutes of just talking, and that's it. And then next person. But they're always in flux about exactly where this stuff goes. In fact, once it's close enough, I'll find out when they publish whatever their little schedule is.
Yeah.
Sure, I will find out then.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, that PR I opened yesterday just changes the announcement to say something about
Right.
the current. This is the 4.14 is the current release, but we could change it to be like you said, this something about the TC members will be at Node Interactive. That'd be fine.
Yep, and I see it. So it is on there. They do have it posted on their website right now. So it is in the morning. It's actually on the opening ones.
Can you put the link into the chat? I'd like to check it out.
Yeah. Here's to all of them. I'm sure you're in here, Rand.
Yeah.
Yep, there you are. So 3:40 p.m. on the first day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then and so which one? Oh yeah, I see. Express State of the Union. Oh, cool. Nice. Yeah. Well, I think we should.
We not just we should, we must. The thing is, if you guys suggest something like this, you would feel like, oh man, it feels like self-promotion. But as a community member, I would want this information to be known to me. That
exactly.
You guys are going. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's why I said like we could probably even like phrase at least the announcement part more like. That's why I was thinking like we could phrase like the actual announcement like, that there are essentially Express TC members attending the conference.
Yeah.
Versus, saying like, hey, Rand and Doug are going there, right? Because like it's both are true, but they, at least to me, sound a little different, where it's basically saying like, it sounds more, I think, inclusive, especially like saying like there are TC members there. Because I mean, that's ultimately what they would care about too. Like, hey, like, or even like we're attending the conference, as the title, like, kind of like the royal we. Just like Express people or whatever.
Yeah, I agree. And I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll redo my PR and just change that to put some wording, something like that in there.
Gotcha. I mean, you can always merge that PR and then we can just do one for this. Is whatever you feel like, of course.
I have a suggestion. Rand, let's merge your existing PR, and I'll create a page which would show the details about you guys. What you're talking about, what your Twitter handle is, maybe include a photograph also. And on the home page, we have that link saying we are attending Node Interactive, or basically I'll create a placeholder for what should be there on the home page, and then we can discuss and decide later what the proper sentences or the words should be.
Okay.
Let me create the template on the home page, and then a page where it shows the details about you guys attending the conference. I can work on that.
Okay, I mean that's fine with me. I mean I have to see, what you come up with, but it sounds in principle. It sounds okay.
Yep.
Cool. Sounds good.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. So the only what I thought of something else while we were talking about that as well. In fact, I was thinking about it. Yeah, but when you're posting in the router thing, and then I forget. There's that one person that's commenting there. I just forget the name off the top of my head. So, but
Wesley Todd?
No.
Evan Shorts, who's that?
Oh yeah, Evan Shortus, I think.
Yeah, I'll just look it up.
Yeah.
Yes, Evan. So actually, one thing I was thinking of, just in regards to just in general this kind of stuff, is I was kind of thinking about it, and I think it's been between this pull request and that instrumentation pull request. Like, I feel like there's, I'm just trying to figure it out, right? So like both of them technically, we could certainly do. One thing makes me wonder is like, just like as a thinking thing is like, I know we have people that are either making the pull request or doing that, but both of these, like the pull request was kind of like, the implementation ended up being like suggested, right? And so I feel like even like when the person who made like the one pull request it's almost like kind of like, they're almost like feel like kind of like doing what is really being asked versus like really like thinking about it. Cause like I was thinking about like there's the one where I was like with the instrumentation, I was just, cause I was just trying to figure it out, right? Cause I mean, we could do all kinds of stuff. I just don't know. I could certainly make up what I feel like is right, or what they have there. Like I was like, oh, what if we executed the tracers inside, like process next tick or something like that? And it's like, I don't know which one's better, but I'm like, you made the pull request? I'm like, cause I'm like, I'm just trying to like, like I just don't understand, I'm sure they have a use case. Like I could probably come up with a use case for it, but we're not really building it for contrived use cases. It's always nice to be like, hey, here's this thing. It's nice. It works really well, and it will also work for your thing. So I don't know. I feel like just somehow, like I'm just trying to think about like maybe like how to have kind of like some other participation. Like, so you because you mentioned it again with like the bubbling, right?
Yep.
Like I remember initially I suggested, well, should we do like bubbling kind of like DOM style or not? And the reason I thought about that was I said, because it all stems down to what are the use cases that we're going to use this for, right? Because I was thinking like, well, what if you just wanted to have like something that whenever, a layer was hit, well, then like you may want to know about, if the app had composed a bunch of routers together that there's still layers getting hit, and maybe you just want to like log or essentially trace or something like that on them. You certainly, the way we usually have suggested people compose their apps with the whole router stuff is that they would be kind of like, selfish kind of contained-ish things that you'd put together. So like there wouldn't really, with that pattern, there'd be no central spot to just go and attach an event listener to every single router anyways. So that's the only reason I even thought about that. And it could be totally, and the thing is like I could be totally off base, and maybe that really has no good use case. So I just don't know. And we could certainly do it, but the thing, especially with events are so finicky. Is that it's really hard to do feature detection around events, right? So one, like if you just have some random event emitter, there's no way there's no like at least de facto interface, right? We could come up with something that we could just tell people to use, but there's no de facto way as part of an event emitter to see like what events that event emitter will emit, right? So it's not like you can just take, like it makes it hard to like compose multiple versions / makes upgrading slightly harder when it like changes around too much. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, and like, I could think of like the bubbling stuff, like maybe we decide we don't need it, and like, because one way you could do it would be like you could add an argument to say to bubble them or not bubble them, but then whatever, and like I don't know. The other thing is like I always, and I've said this many times, I usually don't feel like it's a crazy rush. I know some people are crazy about it. Some people are like really don't seem to be very happy to go like use a GitHub URL in their package.json for unknown reasons as well. I've seen that. It makes it hard, because I don't want to rush through it. I want people to have their eyeballs on it. Like I think I had some other pull request to something else, but it's like, yeah, this is probably some change. Ideally, we'd get some talk around here from the people, maybe someone stops by and like they say that their use case, whoa, that will totally break my use case. And it's like, not that we can't do the change, but it's just like, oh, hey, if we tweak the change this way, there we go, everybody's happy. And then we can we don't have to like make like a dozen breaking changes. Like, especially with like Express, because there's so many people that use it. What I always see is like, I'll still see like bug reports all the time, still like what Express are using is like, oh, 4.13.3 or something, or 4.10 something. It's like, oh, okay. It's just people just use them for a long time. I know that where I am, I mean, that's just what people do. They make some thing with their software, but then they once they're essentially quote done, right? They mainly move on to something else. They're not just going to spend the rest of their life upgrading every module every day. It's a time sink, of course. It's not like they don't want to upgrade. It's just you have to weigh a lot of times, like, what do I get for the effort required to upgrade in this? So like a lot of people will use old versions for a long time. And so that's why like, the less churn there is, I feel a lot of people, there's been people I've talked to who actually like no churn. Other people, might think that, churn is not bad either, but usually I encounter people who either like the fact that there's no churn or just say, well, churn is not bad. But I don't really encounter usually people who say, man, I love waking up every day to do another upgrade, like, I'm sure from like the whole IOJS, Node.js like thing, especially around the IOJS time, there's like so much churn. It was kind of crazy to even like attempt to keep up. You turn around next day and like you have to upgrade the whole thing, and it just takes a long time to do that, especially in like something like JavaScript where, there's no like, I'm talking about JavaScript specifically, not any of these other languages like TypeScript, but JavaScript itself, which is what your interfaces will be with Node, have no like, types, an easy way to say like, oh, I'm suddenly calling a method that no longer exists, so my program doesn't compile. You have to like maybe like grep it, or hopefully cross your fingers that someone made a gigantic, amazing test suite that might flush it out or something. Who knows? But yeah. So yeah, I don't know. That was just kind of like some ramblings, I guess, on thoughts there. I'm still trying to think about it, because that's like one of the things I've been thinking about. And it's like stuff that my lightning talk is kind of about as well. So I'm trying to like think about a lot of this stuff too, to like, think about like, how can we help people contribute or do whatever, and like, understand how to. So like, one thing I've been playing around with, and to make a PR or something, is like a lot better like instructions for how to like contribute. Like, oh yeah, like it's like this and like that, and like try to do this, and here kind of like have some, at least a little bit of expectations or something, or some, I don't know. But right now, we have something in like the main Express repo, but it's just kind of generic. And I've been thinking about it too, like when on GitHub, right? It's like GitHub's whole thing is like they expect pull requests and people to do stuff like that. That's why you can turn off issues in GitHub, but you can't turn off pull requests. So like the whole idea is to be social with it. So usually you'll start a project and you'll have no real instructions, right? So it's just like the people who contribute either have to blindly contribute, or they really like spent a whole bunch of time to figure out how they're supposed to contribute well.
Yep.
Maybe they would have inspected like what your commits look like and try to like mimic them or something, or who knows what. So, certainly been thinking about like wording around like there, like obviously we're, but it's not to be used. It's more like any of this wording isn't to be used as like law, to be like, your pull request is closed because you didn't follow the steps or something. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Or even like it shouldn't even be used to say like, oh, well, you can't even follow our steps, kind of thing. So it's more like, like, especially if they don't know, it'd be like, oh yeah, you just need to, can you tweak it like here, and here's like a link to like some information about it. Or like a lot of people some people I've talked to that have, especially like people who don't really contribute to open source projects that I talk to, because there's a lot of people who don't. They just, are on the sidelines, just quiet. They just do what they need to do for their job. But a lot of people I talked to said like, if they were to contribute to a open source project, it's nice if they understood how to do it, especially people who have never done it before. Yeah. So like, and I know Node.js Core has been like doing a lot of stuff around this, and I've gone through and like read some of their stuff. Though they have a lot of documents, a lot of good instructions, though it actually is kind of disconnected. In fact, I found a lot of it just because I looked around through like issues and saw one of the members like link to it. And it was in like a different repo or something, in the main Node.js repo, and it wasn't super obvious to find that by myself. So also stuff that thinking about. But let's see here. I see Wes commented on our thing. Oh, he said, guessing you guys don't see the YouTube chat. Yeah, I don't know. Oh yeah, the comment section on the YouTube. I guess we'd have to keep that open to actually see that, because yeah, it doesn't show up in Hangouts.
All right.
So he said, I would love to have known that the Royal We are attending. And although I don't have a ticket, would love to meet you all. So see, just like you were saying, Yapa, that like I don't really think about that stuff, so I didn't really even think about it. But yeah, like it certainly makes sense. I mean, you know, like you said, we'll probably just put it up. Even though it's still semi-close, I mean, you know, there's probably people who are already attending or whatever. I mean, you know, I personally, I don't know if I would have gone and like attended just because of that. Anyways, I mean, it's not like super. You have to fly somewhere and then get the tickets for whatever. So, but I feel like the biggest audience would really probably be the people who are already, you know, attending, or, you know, have like some company paying to have them attend, so they don't have to like pay to go do it. So then at this point, it's really just who's already attending and now they're aware. Though I'm sure they would figure it out there anyways. So, but yeah, so that's good to know. Yeah, I meant to go open up. We're still figuring out this YouTube thing. I actually just thought about this before this morning, and I tried to add you, Rand, to be a manager or something of the Express.js YouTube account. I don't exactly know what that means, but I figured that at some point, that's why I like got it all set up here. So I'm glad that there's a way that it looks like we can actually, like, what's it called? Probably any of us could hopefully at some point go and actually just start up this thing.
Yeah.
So that'll make it a lot easier too. Here's the video. I was like, where's the stupid video to start up this thing? Oh, okay. But yeah, so I don't see the chat, so I don't know what the chat. Oh, here it is. I figured out where it is. He said on there, are you talking about the Node.js Interactive Austin? Yeah. I didn't know you would be here, so I would have liked to know. Good to know. Good to know. Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, I think that's probably wrap up our meeting today.
Yeah, so actually we should, you know, in 2 weeks for the next meeting, we'll be at the conference. So we could conceivably have a, you know, live or, you know, meeting. I don't know if anybody, you know, if anybody else there will want to attend, or I don't know how you feel about it, Doug, if you'd rather.
Yeah, like we could like just sit down in front of a laptop.
Yeah.
And then just, you know, do it from there or something. Yeah. I thought about whether or not it should be there, but like the nice thing is it's like, so at that time zone, it would be 6:30 p.m., which is certainly after everything there. I know that's technically the last day, because I think the conference itself is only 2 days. Then they have those 2 collaborative days or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you're still there, like Wednesday night, I mean, I'll be there. It's not like I really have much to do there.
Yeah.
So
I'll be there. I think I'm leaving Thursday morning, I believe. I have to double check, but yeah, I'm pretty sure I'll be there.
Cool. Yeah, I'm leaving Thursday or Friday night is when I'm leaving. So.
All right. Cool. Yeah. It'd be fun. Maybe we'll, yeah. I imagine they usually have like a beer thing, so we could probably just like grab some beers and do the TC.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, especially if so Wes said he can also. Yeah, so cool. We'll probably hey Wes, we'll probably let's I'll open or you can open, or Rand can open. One of us should probably just go ahead and probably open an issue in the discussions, and then we can actually figure this all out in there. I don't think that's really private. So he was talking about like, because, like if he can do, like he might have some local meetups and stuff. Maybe something could be arranged and things like that. So, yeah, we can probably figure something out because, like I said, what we'll do is we can say what our schedules are. Like I'm pretty much there through Friday, and I just after I give my talk, I mean, it's not. I'm just gonna kind of like do whatever. So, if Wes has something where like maybe like at least from like Wednesday night or Tuesday night or Thursday night or something, and there's like a little local meetup, and just if we want to do something, talk a little bit to them there or drop by or whatever, I'm sure we could do that. So
Cool.
Sure. Yeah.
That would be great.
Okay. Cool.
all right, guys.
Okay. Sounds good. Thanks. Thanks, Doug. Thanks, Yapa.
All right, thanks everybody for attending.
Thanks, guys. Take care. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.